99% of the time, the buyer's agent is getting money from you as the fee to go and find or buy the property, but they're getting a developer kickback as well. And sometimes they're $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 per deal to basically go and sell your property. Especially if you're buying these brand new builds in capital cities, is the locations are shit. They're on the outer edges of capital cities, right? There's a flood of them coming onto the market, so prices don't grow. They stagnate for a long period of time. Whereas I bought in Brisbane at a time when, people were like, "Oh, don't buy in Brisbane. Doesn't done anything for like 20 years," and all those properties have doubled, if not tripled, in value in that time. So, hey everyone, welcome back to the Smash Property Podcast. This week's episode, we're going to have a chat about brand new builds and answer the question, or maybe help you decide on whether a new build actually makes sense for your next investment property purchase. With me today, I brought along Akira, straight out of the buyer's agency side of things. How's everything going?
Really good. My microphone's falling apart, but good otherwise.
Your mic is fine.
Maybe
your chair is.
Maybe it's me
like,
falling apart.
Yeah, I think you're falling apart. It's been a big week.
No,
been a big month, actually.
Been a great month though. Like, I know there's a lot going on in the industry, obviously with people's mindset around property investing. And I think this topic was really sprouting from my conversations. I'm chatting to a lot of people thinking about getting into the property market and just trying to decipher which one. So I thought it would be beneficial just to make sure we're not jumping into different things without full context.
Yep, exactly. So I brought you along. That last couple of podcasts has been me, and a few, maybe one of them has bombed. I don't know.
I was watching it earlier today.
There's a bit.
Didn't mind it.
I didn't mind it. Okay, I might need to just pump it out.
But it's funny with content. It's like shit, man.
You win some, you lose more. So let's, again, okay, I think everybody has heard what's changed for a million times, but just quick little round out is that the proposed changes are that negative gearing no longer applies to established properties after the 12th of May, whenever the budget night was, but it does apply to brand new builds, and CGT, or the 50% CGT discount, does also apply to brand new builds if these changes go through Parliament. All right.
Absolutely. And it's quarantined.
The negative gearing is quarantined inside the portfolio if you own an existing property, but just leave this out for a second. And so a lot of people are sort of asking now the question, okay, based on these proposed changes, and some people think that changes have actually come in, but they haven't yet. Okay, is now the time when I go and buy a brand new build because I can't get my negative gearing on existing properties anymore? That was the whole reason why I wanted to invest in property in the first place, which we never suggest anyone does. I've said it a million times, never invest for tax benefits, invest to grow your wealth. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, a lot of people are asking the question, is this, do we do the new build thing? And the answer, my immediate answer, if you want the short version, is don't do it. All right. We've actually both bought brand new builds, and we both had extremely different outcomes with it. And so I want to just talk about, like, why do we feel that brand new builds are not the go?
Yep. I think, look, and to your point, we have had tremendously different experiences. My brand new build did extremely well, basically doubled in value. But I did do a ton of research, and I didn't do a land and house package. I built separately, being in construction with a builder. So I had some wins there with not paying too much to the construction company. I think ultimately for me, nothing has changed, because I think fundamentally we're still not investing for tax benefits. That's just, I guess, from my perspective, a bonus or a cherry on top for investing. Like, I never got into property with the mindset of, hey, I'm doing this so I can get a bit of more money back on tax. Obviously, that's great. But I mean, there's no other country that really has this benefit at the end of the day. So the game, it's still relatively the same. You just have to know what to kind of look out for in your strategy so you don't get handicapped.
Yeah, we might come back to like what you can look for in a second, but my sort of take on it is, yes, to your point, you did the brand new build thing, but you didn't do a house and land package as most people would be doing if they're going out and buying, a brand new property. Whereas, and for transparency, you bought in Newcastle,
where I lived, at the
New
time.
South Wales. My brand new build was a house and land package in the Northwest Growth Corridor of Sydney, and I didn't have the best outcome with that. The couple of things that didn't really work too well is that I bought the property and I had a negative equity position of $200,000 for like a couple of years, right? Nothing really happens. If I had have sold, I would have lost $200,000, but I just held it and it's fine. But the property hasn't grown a tremendous amount in that time since I've owned it, right? Definitely comparative to yours, but also comparative to the other established properties I've bought in my portfolio. And that's really telling, right? Because Sydney, if you just ask anyone, Sydney's one of the hottest markets in the country. Like, you buy anything in Sydney and it's just going to grow and double and this and that, couldn't be further from the truth, right? Whereas I bought in Brisbane at a time when, people were like, "Oh, don't buy in Brisbane. It doesn't done anything for like 20 years," and all those properties have doubled, if not tripled, in value in that time. So the point, the reason why I don't like new builds is a couple of things. It's the house and land package new builds. Number one is you don't control the outcome. You don't control the timeline. You don't control the quality. You don't really control pricing, because you can't really negotiate when you're buying the property, because they're usually fixed price contracts and things like that. And the biggest thing, especially if you're buying these brand new builds in capital cities, is the locations are shit. They're on the outer edges of capital cities, right? There's a flood of them coming onto the market, so prices don't grow. They stagnate for a long period of time. If it is a brand new greenfield area, you don't know anything about the area. You don't know what kind of people are going to move there. You don't know what kind of the rental income is going to do in that time. There are so many unknowns with it. And this is why, for most people, it just does not make sense to do, especially if your goal is to grow a portfolio in a condensed period of time. Because as you and I both know, that is the name of the game, right? Now, you might go, I've got a fixed price contract with a builder and they've said it's going to be built in 9 months. Okay, cool. The reality is, if that does happen, fine. But you have to wait the 9 months before you can potentially even buy your next property. The properties we're buying for investors, the established stuff, you're ready to go again in 6 months' time, because you've got the equity back out, and you as long as you can service it, you can go again.
Absolutely. And I think I was thinking about this on my walk with Romy earlier. It's interesting. Like, say you do decide to go in these areas where there's the land and house packages, the developers coming into play as well, with like these massive amounts of land getting cut up. The concern I have is, if and when you need to sell, you are then not in an area which potentially could be at the same price in a more established location, in a better area where there's more amenities and desirability. Essentially, you are selling to a person who doesn't have that negative gearing benefit. So there's going to be a ton of people in those locations as well in the same boat at that point in time. So the risk that I always am conscious of is, if and when you ever need to sell, and ideally you don't, but if and when, your market value of that property comparative to a house that is in an established, more desirable location is very, very different. Like, think about it like this, just for maybe context of the Sydney market. Like, you and I obviously have lived in very many areas in Sydney, but look at Castle Hill in Kellyville. Castle Hill will always trump Kellyville as a suburb because it is in a more established area, more desirable. Kellyville, let's call it 20 years ago, was all greenfield at some point. So when you think about it 20 years later, nobody really cares that was a brand new house 20 years ago. Do you get my point?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's an extremely valuable point. And I think what a lot of people sort of miss out on. And so I think the notion of, going to an investment because of a tax reason that, firstly, isn't even rolled out yet, it's proposed. Secondly, may not stay around forever, right? Because as we know, 85 changes happened, 87 it was revoked. The same thing can happen here. The next election is in 2028, and you can bet your bottom dollar that any opposition party is going to be basing their election on these tax changes or reversing them, right? So I just don't think people should be jumping on that bandwagon just yet. And look, I don't want to sit here completely bashing new builds, because you yourself have an amazing benefit out of it, but you did it very differently. You didn't just do the off the plan house and land type package.
I was in construction and I bought my land for $200K and built for $200K. I was in it for around $420 with everything. I was buying in an area where houses were being built, land and house package, for around, I'd say, $600K. So I was benchmarking myself based on those properties. And so my ability to grow was a lot higher. And I was cognizant of that. I was very much aware that, okay, my land might be a little bit smaller, but everywhere else, all the other properties on the street are going to pick up the value of my house.
I was impressed with that little one that you did there.
I love that property.
It was so good. You did really well.
And I'm shitting on new builds. But again, I was in construction.
You had, I guess, a bit of a leg up and a bit more of an understanding of how things would work. And you did the right level of research.
Tell me where you're building a 3-bedroom house, 2 baths for $200K.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was many years ago, but
6-7 years ago.
So but you're exactly right. You're not really going to be able to do that without knowing what you did. And so that's the take, right? It's like, I wouldn't be, and it's hard not to get frustrated, because we do get, and I know you probably get more questions than I do around this, is like, the new builds, the tax benefits, this, and it drives me nuts, because I'm like, what is the goal of you investing, right? Are you just trying to reduce your taxable income by, a little bit? Like, you're losing money on a negatively geared. You're losing money, right? I call it losing money, because your out of pocket expenses and income is what you're having to put in, right? Your out of pocket expenses. That is just offsetting your taxable income and reducing it slightly. You're not going to get, say your out of pocket cost is $10,000. It is not a direct correlation that you're going to reduce your taxable income by $10,000. It's not a like for like thing, right? It's just, you'll get some money back, absolutely, but you're not getting all of it back. And you've already pitched it in, and you're getting, it's like a little refund at the end of that. It's a tiny little bonus you get back at tax time.
What is the word? It's investing. People expect, and it shits me. It really, really pisses me off, because you don't do something for all the benefits straight away. Investing means that you're sacrificing today to get a bigger reward tomorrow. And that's where, when people bring in all these, I'd say it's shortcuts, with this mentality that you need to, you're doing this for the perspective to make your life better tomorrow. It's not going to be easy. Nobody ever said that. But I think doing it for the wrong reasons sets you further back than anything. And I think it's important to remember that and focus on the goal.
Focus on the goal. And you said it perfectly, right? You are investing, right? There is no such thing as investing with no downside. There's no such thing as investing without any sacrifice. And I just wanted to also say, I say to a lot of people, yes, your property might be out of pocket 10, 15, 20 grand, depending on how you've structured the deal. But look at the growth you are getting out of that property, right? Yeah, sure. Let's call it your 20 grand out of pocket, a year, which is a lot, right? I get it. That's if you're buying it at sort of the higher end. But you're expecting that property to grow by 50, 80, 100 grand, in that 12 months time. So you are coming out ahead. You've got to look at it that way. But the second thing is, I always say that your property should be a stepping stone to get you to where you need to be, right? If your stepping stone is to just reduce your taxable income, fine, go and do the brand new build thing. But I know for 99.9% of people, that ain't the stepping stone. The stepping stone is to build wealth. The stepping stone is to get a passive income eventually out of property, so you can retire from your job early, work less, travel more, whatever the hell it is. But the property's got to allow you to get closer to that goal, not further away. And a lot of the times these brand new builds are going to take you further away from where it is that you need to be. And that's why, in my view, it just fundamentally doesn't stack up.
I think also, to your point all right, it's negatively geared. Call it 15 to 20K at, like, if you're buying right, sometimes you can get it at that 7 to 12,000 mark, what we do for a lot of our clients. But let's call it 20K out of pocket. It's not like you're holding that 20K for the next 20 years. That number significantly reduces year on year, especially, and this is the other thing, there's so many things, but I think especially if you're buying in an area where there's an influx of properties and also a very high vacancy rate, because people don't care about that really. If there is still guaranteed rental demand in that area from the person marketing to you, 5 years from now is not the guarantee of what that rental pocket will look like. So my concern is always, all right, maybe you've got $600 a week rent in these new areas, but is that number going to continuously increase year on year? That is the other part of the equation that needs to be answered. With established build in great locations, what I have found in my personal portfolio, basically within 5 years, they start to move towards neutrally geared. And I'm also these are properties where I've pulled out equity as well. Like it just
it's kind
doesn't.
of it's a bit of a no-brainer, and there's so many. You had a really great point then too. Like, and I wanted to just kind of warn people about, like, you might be getting your numbers directly from the salesperson at the developer selling you the property. They're going to give you the flashy brochures and the numbers that are pumped up. Like, I always say, run your numbers. And if you are very, determined to do this brand new build thing, run your numbers and don't just get your numbers from the salesperson. Like, go and speak to some property managers in the area and say, hey, if I was going to rent out this brand new property once it's built, what can I expect to get? Validate the numbers that you're getting. That's probably number one. Number two, if you're using a buyer's agent to go and buy this brand new build, please be very cautious, because a lot of the times, in fact, I'm going to say 99% of the time, the buyer's agent is getting money from you as the fee to go and find or buy the property, but they're getting a developer kickback as well. And sometimes they're $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 per deal to basically go and sell your property. All right. So I know not every single buyer's agent does that, but you can bet if there's a brand new build involved, there's a little bit of a kickback going on. So just be careful about all that stuff. And I know there's promises of fixed price contracts, but read the contract. What is fixed and what is not? I know there's promises of timelines. Okay, it's going to get done in 9 months. There's so many occasions where we've had people that have come to us where it's been 12 months, 18 months, and it's still not done.
And it's not always like that. And I think, just to be very, very clear, like, there are some shit shows that happen, but again, you've got to be like, for that 9 months, instead of buying an established house where you get a tenant within from start to finish, you can find and settle on a property, have a tenant within 2 months, you're taking time out of the market to sit on the sideline waiting. You're not achieving rent.
That's a good point. The construction loan, because you don't have a tenant, you're paying the construction loan out of pocket. Yes, okay, it's tax deductible, but like you can't.
Not the full
your
thing.
acquisition process just slows down dramatically. Right.
And then I think the one thing that we haven't talked about, and maybe just you kind of touched on it, is you're buying something shiny and pretty. My dog is having a bad dream. He's passionate too.
yeah, he hates new builds as well.
But what am I saying? You're buying something shiny and pretty, right? Like, my thing is, there is no ability to add value, manufacture growth. Like, if you're looking for really, really, if your goal is to have strong cash flow, look at properties where you can essentially look at properties where you can essentially add granny flat potential if you want to do that secondary development. Because I think, that's ultimately, you are still then adding value to the market. You're not just taking away. Because I know a lot of people out there, and especially on the other side of the coin with comments that I've been reading, hate investors because they're soaking up all the market, right? We'll get into that another topic.
We'll get into another topic. And can we talk about John's situation, or wait till it's finished? Our client, John.
Oh, what about it?
his mad cash flow thing he's got going on.
the build that we're doing. They go, oh yeah, I mean,
and shout out to you, John. I know you watch this sometimes. He's got a sick situation going on. So long and short, bought a property. There was a ability to convert one of the rooms to a secondary habitable area. What do you want to call it?
It was like a long garage setup, and now we're in the process of essentially creating that studio space into an actual secondary dwelling.
Yeah, which is sick, right? So well under $100,000 to convert this whole space. No, I know. I just didn't want to set the bar too low.
I'm working my ass off.
I know you're getting it done, and cash flow on the thing, but it's going to be crazy, right? From day one. So you don't have to just always do the secondary dwelling. Depending on how you're building and that's structured, you can convert certain rooms and stuff into habitable zones and increase your cash flow of the property, which I think as a property investing strategy, now more so than ever, I think that makes a lot of sense. It is obviously capital intensive to be able to go and do that. But then the other side of the fence is you just do the cheapies in capital cities and large regional centers.
I might just call out, it's not that capital intensive, because a lot of the time you buy the property, wait for it to grow a little bit, pull out that equity and then smash it into 100%.
But you obviously need to have the capital. It's got to come from somewhere. You're either going to service it or come out of pocket. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. And I also, just so I don't want to dart around too much, and we sort of glossed over it at the beginning, this negative gearing thing, just to reconfirm, it's not removed from established properties, right? When we say it's quarantined inside the portfolio, a loss that you incur, this financial year, for example, you can then claim against future income from that property. So if you sell the property in the future, you can offset the losses that you've occurred with the sale price in the future, or the capital gain, or other rental income from that property as well. So it's not a complete loss. The difference is you're just not getting that little nice refund like you would have done with the negative gearing against your personal income.
But you know what's interesting to me? I get it. Money is money, and it's, if you can get some back, fuck, why not? But at the same time too, you've already spent that money on the property portfolio. That money's already spent. It's gone, right? If you can get some back, or obviously well and good, but it doesn't really make, I don't know if I should be saying this, but it doesn't really make a difference in the big scheme of things, because you've already spent it, unless you're taking that refund to redeploy it into a new asset. And that's what I'd always kind of kept in my mind. 100%.
I've held properties now for many, many years. We're talking, a decade or so of getting, these tax refunds. It's a couple $1,000s. The more properties I've had, the bigger the return has been. But then because I've been more out of pocket, it's $6,000-7,000 sometimes. Yes, it's nice to have, but it's just not. It's not so significant that I'm like, oh, wow, this is really life-changing.
But you know what? I'm going to be a bit cheeky here. When I think about it, there's different types of people in the world, right? The people that we kind of connect with are on the same frequency to understand it's not about the short term, it's about the long term. Other people we connect with, you do need these new builds getting done. You do need people investing in that. And there are particular types of people who do that. And it's well and good. It's just coming back to the why are you doing this and what is your goal? So it's not it's all bad and don't do it, It just depends.
No, it is all bad. Don't do it, guys.
But I'm just saying,
so
strokes, folks, different strokes.
Quick little plug for our project management business that you're successfully running, Key Projects. If you do have a property that you want to obviously build a secondary dwelling on, or you want to convert into, what we've done for John, with your background and your kind of know-how, your skill set, you just have a way.
I'm a cheapskate.
You have a way of doing stuff.
No,
it's been running for a while, but we just sort of have had it going on in the background. But reach out to us. Akira's a gun at this sort of stuff. So yeah, another little, I guess, benefit or thing a bit of value we can add to people out there. So
should we shout out you as well while we're at it?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, yeah. We'll do. I want to do a proper announcement with that. We have something really cool, which is, I know there's a few people that already watch this that are benefiting from it, clued in. But we'll do a proper announcement on socials, I think, with that. But yeah, lots of cool things going on. So look, I hope that was a bit of a fire, rapid kind of episode. But thanks for joining me. It's good to kind of have you back on some of these episodes here. If you got this far, we always appreciate everyone, but especially you for getting this far into our video. If you did, do the thing, support the channel, share it with your friends and family as well. If you know that people are interested in investing and just want a down to earth kind of view on stuff, right? Without all the crap. I think that's all we got time for. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate all the support. Sorry, I just spat everywhere. Until next time, I'm Nick V. Catch you soon.
Thank you.